There are a lot of things that you can do with your first $1,000. I mean, you could save it, you can invest it, you could pay off your debts, you could throw it all in red, open up a brokerage account, you could even leverage your money. Now, I remember when I got my first $1,000, it was that exact moment in time where I finally felt like I could breathe just a little bit because I was no longer living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you're anything like me, your goal is to create financial freedom for yourself, to get to a point where you don't have to work for your money, but your money is working for you. So what I want to do is talk about the 8 essential steps after you save your first $1,000, and we're starting right now. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Sean. Welcome to my channel if you are new. If you are all about saving money, building wealth, financial freedom, living life in your terms, then this is a channel for you. So be sure to check out some of my other videos. I'll leave some links in the description box below. But like I said, today we're talking about the 8 essential steps after you save your first $1,000. Now, I remember living paycheck to paycheck for quite a while when I first moved to LA. I had $400, I had no job. And since then, I've been able to invest in over 20 rental properties and property flips. I own different businesses, and I also have a lot of stock investments and crypto investments. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through a step-by-step of what you should be doing so that hopefully that you can get to where I am even faster than I did. And as always, as we get started, be sure to smash the like button for me. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, hit that little notification bell. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. You know, every time you hit the like button, you comment, you subscribe, what it does is it pushes that video into the YouTube algorithm, and it lets the YouTube algorithm know that this is a great video, it has great content, and it will spread it to more people. And let's just jump right into it. So the very first step is you want to begin with the end in mind. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, just like anything else, you got to know where you want to end up. And in this case, we got to figure out what is your target number. If you're wanting to create financial freedom and get to the point where you solely live off your investments, you need to know how much money you need to have invested in order to do so. So let's talk about how you do that. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is determine how much money you want to spend per month during retirement. So think about how much you want to spend for housing, for food, for your car, for living expenses, for entertainment. Add all of it up and get your total monthly expense. Now, if you're not sure how much money you're going to need in retirement, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the average person age 65 and older spends about $4,000 a month. Once you have your monthly amount, so let's say the $4,000, you're going to then multiply it by 12 to get your annual expense. In our case, $4,000 times 12 months equals $48,000. Now take that number, divide by 0.04, and this will give you how much money you need to have invested. In our particular case, being $1.2 million. Keep in mind though, this isn't the full scope, because as you get closer to retirement, you're also going to have Social Security. Now, according to statistics, the average Social Security payout is around $1,430. which comes out to $17,160 per year. So if we take that $48,000 that we originally came up with and then subtract the $17,000 from it, we end up with a difference of around $31,000. Now take that $31,000, divide by 0.04, and you are left with $775,000. Now, this is the amount that you would need in order to make sure that you can retire off your investments, assuming that you're getting about a 4% return on your money. Step 2, determine your savings rate goal or how fast you want to retire. So now that we know how much money we need to retire, we have to determine how quickly we want to get there. This is where a budget comes in. And I've talked a lot on my channel about budgets, so I'll leave some links in the description box below to some great videos on budgeting. Now, assuming that you're going to retire on the same lifestyle that you have currently, let's say you want to save about 10% of your current income per year. Well, it would take you about 51 years before you got to the point of being able to retire. If you save approximately 30% of your income, it now drops down to 28 years. At about 50% savings rate, you can retire in 17 years. And if you manage to save 65% of your income, you can retire in 10.5 years. Now, how aggressive you want to be with this really just depends on how much you love your job and how quickly you want to be able to retire. Step 3, set up a budget. So if you haven't done so already, setting up a budget is going to be absolutely crucial in helping you save money. You know, it's kind of like the old saying, those who fail to plan are simply planning to fail. And having a strong budget is making sure that you plan for success. Now, I've talked a lot about budgeting on my channel before, so I'll leave some links in the description box below for you. But my suggestion would be to focus on the main 3: housing, transportation, and food. These really are your absolute biggest expenses, so I would make sure that those are very much aligned and that you can make sure that you're hitting your savings goals. Now, when it comes to budgeting, I always do the pay yourself first you have to have saving in your actual budget. So make sure that your budget plan has you saving money and having that built into your overall budget. If you need some examples, be sure to watch some of my videos where I talk about this extensively. Step number 4, pay off any high interest debts first. Even though we're wanting to create life on our terms and have our money work for us, there are times when paying off your debts is a better idea than investing first. And when you're trying to decide if you should be investing, if you should be saving, if you should be paying off debts, the best way to determine this is simply off of interest rates. As a general rule of thumb, if you have any debts with an interest rate of around 7% or higher, more than likely you're going to want to pay off those debts first. And that is because it's really hard to find an investment that you can guarantee that rate of a return. Now, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, I talk about index funds and how the historical average has been a 10% return over the course of history. But the thing is, we can't guarantee it's going to happen every single year. And while some years you may get 10% or even 15 or 20%, other years you could be losing 10%, 15 or 20%. What you do know is that if you have a debt that's at least 7% or higher, by paying that debt off first, what you do know is that that is an automatic return on our money. Now, if you have an interest rate that's really low, like let's say 2%, 1%, 3%, maybe even 4 or 5%, this may be an instance where if you know for sure you can get the guaranteed return, you'd be better off investing than paying off the debts. This brings us to step 5, which is to create an emergency fund. Now, this is an optional step in my opinion, but it really just depends on how much risk you are willing to take on. Now, as a general rule of thumb, most people should have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, and this is just to really help mitigate any risk of job losses, unexpected major expenses like your car breaking down or refrigerator needing to be replaced. If you feel you have really good job security or that your job can easily be replaced, you may only need a 3-month emergency fund. However, if you have a really good job, one that's really hard to replace or one that may take you a while to replace, you may want to have closer to a 4, 5, or 6-month emergency fund. Step number 6, start investing ASAP. Now that we have all of our high interest debts paid off, now it's time to start investing and having our money work for us. Now, there's a lot of different pathways you can go on investing. There's real estate, there's stocks, there's IRAs, there's dividend investing. My suggestion is to start with a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, or your 401k. And within those, I would go ahead and look at index funds. I've talked a lot in my channel about index funds, so be sure to check out some of those videos. But index funds are really one of the best ways of getting the best return over time. Statistically, 94 to 96% of the time it's going to beat out individual stock pickers and hedge fund managers over a 10+ year period of time. It's also one of the easiest things to maintain, requires very little knowledge. It's one of those things where you just automatically set it up and just invest every month. So in my opinion, this is where most people should be investing. Now, once you're investing in your IRAs or you're doing your 401k match with your employer, if you have any additional money that you want to be investing at that point, this is where you can start putting a small percentage to individual stocks, cryptocurrency, or anything that has a higher risk, higher return portion. Step number 7, increase your income. Okay, so now that we have our debts paid off, we got the emergency fund, we're investing, we're performing like a rock star. The thing is, if we're going to get to our retirement age even faster, more than likely you're going to have to increase your income. Unless you're already making well into the 6 figures already, it's going to be really hard to be saving 30, 50, 60+% of your overall income. This is why you absolutely must learn to begin increasing your overall income. And in my opinion, one of the best ways of doing this is through a side hustle. Now, I talk a lot about side hustles on my channel, but if I were to start a side hustle, I would start with a service-based side hustle. What I would do is simply get a collection of all my skill sets, all the things I'm able to do or willing to do, go online on different sites like Fiverr, Upwork, Thumbtack, then go online and create profiles. So whether you're really good at a language, an instrument, a sport, a certain subject matter in school, a handyman, a painter, a photographer, you're willing to clean houses, you're willing to wash cars. There are all different kinds of websites and apps out there where you can upload profiles and begin earning easily $20, $30, $50, $100, $200 plus per hour doing different side hustles. The great thing about service-based businesses as well is that it requires very little to no money up front, and you can start making money right away. So this is why I highly suggest doing a side hustle in a service-based category. Now, once I was able to master this step and I began doubling and even tripling my income, my savings rate skyrocketed, and this is where my wealth building really came into play. Step number 8, rinse and repeat. Continue to find new ways of making more money and keep automatically investing every single dollar into new passive income streams. And eventually you will get to the point where your passive income is paying for your overall lifestyle and now you're able to retire. Now, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Let's go out there and let's build that dream.